dun. Yes. What are we starting with today? We've got some good stuff. Actually, we're starting with something sad. We are going to be starting with the continuing box office decline. And in this case, we're not talking about The Flash, although, my God, that had another decline. Oof. We're going to be talking about Indiana Jones this week. Because Indy 5 opened. I sadly was supposed to go and see it, but didn't have a chance. But it has not done well at the box office, AJ. Here's the full story. Can you see this here? Yes, no?
Still loading up at the minute.
There we go. Box
there we go.
office, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny stumbles with a 60 million debut. Disney's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny lassoed the top spot on domestic box office charts, collecting an underwhelming 60 million in its opening weekend. It's a decent amount of money for a tentpole that's aimed at older audiences, but Indiana Jones 5, one of the most expensive movies ever, costing 295 million before marketing. It'll take a heroic feat, one that would test even an enduring legend like Indiana Jones for the fifth installment in the decades-old franchise to become profitable in its theatrical one. It was a disappointing weekend at the box office. I'm not going to read that part. That's other movies which we're not talking about. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the final adventure to star Harrison Ford as the swashbuckling explorer, also added 70 million at the international box office for a global start of 130 million. For context, that's worse than The Flash, which misfired with 75 million internationally and 139 million globally, and cost 100 million less to make. So that's alarming. Really, really alarming. AJ, would you care to give a stab at why you think people are just not going to see movies at the moment?
People aren't going to see movies at a moment, which is always going to be a heartbreaker, always going to be a bit of a problem. The other thing is, it's franchises that shouldn't still be franchises. And with the highest of respect and love to Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones, it's a disconnected era. You're looking at us as a slightly older generation as those that are going to rush to it. And we were very much disappointed by Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So you're always as good as your last movie. Your hero is beyond believable, respectfully. It just doesn't seem convincing. I've spoken to a few people who have said it, that they had to fight people to go with them to see it. And I don't know if they've actually gone to see it yet. Yourself, it's also been a delay. I'm not saying that stopped you because, it's indie, life gets in the way, I'm sure. Yes, we are going through a cost of living crisis, but you need something fresh. Yes, there is a decline. I guarantee you, the way I'm hearing people talk, Barbie's going to do well. But then I suppose people are talking about The Flash and it hasn't done too well. I am slightly concerned, but I don't know. The hesitancy I had and people around me have had doesn't make me shocked at the news that Indiana Jones hasn't been as great as it should be. But it's a gone era, I personally believe, respectfully.
There's one thing I'm going to add to this, actually, just before I give my take on this, because something very interesting. We reported on this, I think, 2 weeks ago when those scores came out of Cannes, right? And, it was a gamble by Disney to put that movie in front of one of the most notorious and difficult to please audiences and critics and group of critics there is by putting it on at Cannes. Now, when it came out at Cannes, it walked away with 55% audience score. What's interesting, if I open up Rotten Tomatoes right now, let me just bring this up. Because now that people are seeing it in the cinema, the scores have gone up from both critics and audiences. So bearing in mind, key thing to remember, 55% was the score on Rotten Tomatoes for Indiana Jones after Cannes, right? Let me bring up Rotten Tomatoes here. So here we go. As you can see, the audience score, which is usually higher than critic scores, but the audience score is 88%. The critic score has jumped from 55 up to 69. It's now certified fresh. So here's what I'm going to add to this, having that little nugget in mind. If people are really still in doubt about the power of critics, and people are so quick to dismiss critics and to dismiss the word of critics and say, oh, their opinion is not more valid than mine, which it is because it's more informed. Indiana Jones, I was on a very small island of people who thought that this movie didn't look good when the trailers arrived, right? A lot of people disagreed with me, and a lot of people were really, really excited about Indy 5. Oh my God, after Cannes, that win got taken out the sales. And it's hard to recover from that because even now, with both audience and critic scores high, especially the audience score, like people enjoy this movie, it's still opening to low numbers. And it's, you mentioned Barbie a moment ago. Barbie is going to do bucks. I'm going to go on a record and say, I think Barbie is going to outperform Oppenheimer. Genuinely, I think Barbie will do bigger numbers than Nolan's new movie, right? I think Barbie may do bigger numbers than Mission Impossible. But the reason I'm bringing these movies up are these are the movies that Indy 5 has now got to compete with within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Oppenheimer, Barbie, and the new Mission Impossible. I think it's doomed to fail, sadly, with what it's open to. 300 million before even factoring in marketing. It would have to make between 600 to 700 million just to break even. This movie's going to be a flop. There's no two ways about it. And that sucks. It's painful because contrary to what reports were at Cannes, the movie's apparently not as bad as all that. Thoughts? Anything else to add on this?
Look, it's always a tough one. It's always something that you hope for the best, and we've seen it ourselves. And a lot of people might be okay. Oh, that's what the Rotten Tomatoes are saying. What's this one saying? What's IMDb saying? What's there are a list of different outlets out there. I would like it to IMDb, do well for the. No, listen. I'm just going off different sources out there. Metateric, there are a lot of people out there. But what I'm saying is, it's tough. I always want to see a film do well because it's good to know cinemas going out there. It's good to know that there's something doing well that's good, so you can go out and enjoy it. That's the key thing, We don't talk movies just because we talk movies. We talk it because we love it, and you'd like to see stuff are out there. It's sad. I do believe though certain IPs have just had their date. And I believe that's the sad thing about this one. Mission Impossible may be a product of that as well. Oppenheimer, I think, has a select crowd. Those who appreciate cinema, who will refer to Nolan, will go back for it and chase it. Barbie is, as much as it's an age-old IP, it's something fresh that people... It's not like it's old, like Barbie 6. It's the latest Barbie, We're approaching Mission Impossible, 8 now? Certain things have got a touch.
6 or 7, I think, yeah. No, it might be 8. Yeah. You might be right, I'm not sure.
Between 7 to 8, yeah, And this is where I think certain franchises are taking a hit. Certain things appeal to a specific market, and others are just mass. Barbie has blockbuster written all over it. Indiana is an adventurer's dream, but it's just slightly past it. How are we meant to convince the next generation that gentleman, and I swear to God, it hurts me to be that guy to say this stuff, but that gentleman is the one to be the ultimate swashbuckling hero for a film? You're like, really?
No.
I know if you tried to sell me Clint Eastwood back in the day, I'd have been like, okay, that's exactly what's happening here with Harrison Ford.
Agreed. 100% agreed. But it's not all doom and gloom. Little Mermaid has very quietly gone about its business, making a lot of money. Mario Bros. Joined the $1 billion club this summer. Guardians did 800 million. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is continuing to do really good at the box office. So I think the biggest story here is that people are clearly being more selective about what they're seeing. And it's, in a weird way, almost refreshing not to see people rushing out to the big, obvious, tried and tested IP and I guess demanding something more. Maybe I'm projecting. Yeah. But the question is, it goes over to you guys. What have you seen this weekend? Were you one of the people who saw Indy 5? What did you think of it? Why do you think it has underperformed at the box office? Leave your thoughts and your comments down below, please.